Hello, hello. We are here today with Jo Bregnard, a self-care guide, and I am so thrilled to bring her here with my community to share some tools, specifically acupressure, to help heal our guts, balance our energy, improve our moods, make our lives better. Jo Bregnard, thank you so much
Yay.
for being here. I'm so grateful to see you and have
Thank,
you here.
thank you for having me, Michelle. I'm so excited to be here. Such a great topic, and I'm looking forward to working with you folks. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you.
My pleasure. And just to give my community a little bit of background, I will tell you that Jo and I have been talking over the last few days. And when we first met, I'm like, okay, there's just something magical about this woman.
Aw.
I can't be selfish and just keep her to myself. I need to share her with my people. So I am selfishly very excited that we get to learn some new tools because I will tell you, I'm very familiar with acupuncture. I actually go to a practitioner here in Denver whom I love, and I always feel so much better after my sessions.
Mm,
With that said, it can get a little pricey. And so I love the idea that we can talk to you about perhaps some options to help us learn some tools that we can manage some of these things on our own. So can we just
yeah.
dig straight in?
Of course, of course. Yeah. And that's my favorite thing. Well, I'll keep saying that's my favorite thing about acupressure. There's so many wonderful things about acupressure, but you have your hands with you all the time. So you have the tools you need all the time. You don't need needles. You wouldn't use needles on yourself, but your hands are with you. And acupressure is sort of like acupuncture's laid back sibling. They're just like it's okay if you don't know exactly where the points are, and you don't need to know the numbers or anything really specific about it. You're always going to benefit yourself when you lay your hands on your body. It's just such a healing, nurturing thing for yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
I
And that's
love
one right
that. Is
there.
this one of
That's
them? Oh, good, because yeah, this is always my go-to. This is either me protecting myself, like to calm myself down, or it's me showing love to somebody and reverence to somebody. So in this moment, I feel that that's both. I'm
oh,
going to kind of calm my nervous system as far as
mhm.
presenting and being live, but also showing love with you and sharing love with my
Aw.
community. So
Yeah,
thank
sending
you.
you
And
love.
before we jump into the actual hardcore tools, I would love to actually just know a little bit more about you. Like, I know you are a grown woman, so you have many stories. But in particular, what was the story that led you to acupressure?
Yeah, the group of people that I work with are people that tend to other people. So personally or professionally, they are folks that take care of other people. They might be teachers, they might be in the healthcare field, they might be personal caregivers or caring for somebody in their family with a medical condition. They could be a parent, a spouse, anything like that. Because those people tend to not care for themselves. And I discovered this myself when I was several times throughout my life. I cared for my husband a few different times with some medical issues that he had. And then most recently, I was caring for my mom when she was dealing with Alzheimer's disease before she passed. And I found myself just on this hamster wheel, like one thing after another, and definitely not taking care of myself. At that time, I was teaching and practicing yoga, but there was no way I could get to a class. I was just too busy. I actually had to travel to a different state to take care of my mom, and it was a couple times a week, and it was a lot. So I started to think there has to be a way that I could bring practices to me, like in my Jeep, and not have to set us an hour aside even to go to a class. Because by the time I did
Yeah,
that, I was exhausted, right? So
sure.
I was just looking for practices that would work that way for me. And acupressure kept coming up, probably because too, I love the style of yoga called yin. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So it's very much about being still and targeting our connective tissues, but it's all about the meridians of the body, the same meridians that are targeted during acupuncture and acupressure, these channels of energy that are in our body that have been shown to provide healing at different places. So acupressure, again, I always have my hands with me. I'm sometimes I don't even have a couple of minutes, but I can put my hands on me while I'm doing something else. You know what I mean? It becomes part of my day. And so that's something that's really great about acupressure. And we can dive right into talking about that point if you want, because I love that you went there. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, let's go for it.
Or am I
tell
taking
me
you off
more
your
about this thing? I feel like I learned it. I did a little bit of work with Jessica Ortner with tapping,
Yes.
maybe starting like 10 years ago. And I think I got a little bit of that from that, but then it feels like it's also kind of become my own natural go-to. So yes, please tell me more about what am I doing when I do this? What's happening?
Wonderful. Tapping is based on the meridians in traditional Chinese medicine. So you're in the right place. So again, acupressure, it's okay if we don't get exactly in the right place. But if you can imagine drawing a line from your underarm creases to the center of your body, right about where your hand was, and laying your hand there. So you could, and we will shortly talk about, getting right to a particular point. And in this case, you might feel a little dip or depression in your sternum, which is where the point actually resides. But the benefit of laying your whole hand there is that you get to feel the warmth of your whole hand, and it provides a more diffuse pressure there. Not so pokey, kind of, it can be a little pokey when you use one finger, but this is just really nice. I kind of consider this my portable weighted blanket. I love my weighted blanket, right?
Yes, me too, me too. When we have family night movies down in our basement, my family, they all run warm for some reason, but me, I love just being snuggled in and having that weight. I'm like, okay, I'm grounded.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. And that's exactly what you're doing. So this point underneath here is CV17. You never need to remember that. You don't even need to remember the name of it or anything like that. It's referred to, most acupressure points have little nicknames. Sea of Tranquility is the nickname. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, I love that.
I saw you do this too. So yeah, you can provide extra weight with a second hand on top of it. And if you want to do it as a practice, or you're maybe really feeling anxious at the time, because that's the benefit of this point, is to help you connect to your heart center and to calm your emotions and to ground you. It's not necessarily a grounding point, but calming your anxiety will certainly bring you down, right? In a good way when you need that. And you can just feel your breath rising up into your hands. It's a great way when you lose, when we're anxious, we don't know where our body is. We're all up here, right? And we need to come back down into our body. And this really, I find, helps do that. So yeah, it's one of my favorites too.
I love that. And that brings me back to kind of the previous days when my daughter was younger. I remember when she first started riding a bike. Like, she's a fierce bike rider now. She's amazing. But in the beginning, of course, she would try and then she might fall. And then she'd try and then she'd fall. And then she'd panic. And then I learned early on that I had to watch my facial recognition so that I didn't panic. And my first reaction to her was always breathe, breathe. And so now, even I think 10, 15 years later, I think that's the first thing she goes to. And it helps me to remember as well that when I'm feeling a bit anxious, it's okay, breathe. So that kind of brings me back to that feeling as well.
And this point does benefit, because the location benefits the lungs and benefits your breathing. So it's all tied together. And we didn't practice any of this, Michelle. We didn't even talk about any of this or coordinate it, but it's true. You're right on the right wavelength there.
We're in sync.
We are.
We've got this whole situation happening.
Yes, I'm glad you love that. Yeah.
So now tell me more. I think this plays into it with anxiety, but is there another tool that might help? Because I know a lot of people in my community, of course, I talk a lot about food and nutrition, and I strongly believe that all the other modalities around us are helping as well, whether it's the fitness, sleep, stress levels, mindset, all of that. And the work you do is so important, especially for the caregivers who aren't always taking care of themselves. So with that said, anxiety around food can come up in some of my conversations with my participants in some of my programs. And so let's just say, just as a practical example, asking for a friend, maybe last week, as I look away, I can't even make eye contact with you. Okay, let's try this. Asking for a friend, wink, wink. We were, at the grocery store. I was hungry. The kiddos were adding some things to the grocery basket that I didn't quite love, but I'm like, you know what? I'm in the mood for gluten-free Oreos, and that's what I want. And so I went into the basket. And, don't love that choice, but, it happened. And plus, I do believe in moderation. When we got home, I realized I ate a lot more cookies than I had anticipated. And so I wonder, can acupressure help me when I say that, I'm only going to eat the 4 cookies and then be done, versus I'm only going to eat the 4 cookies and wow, a whole sleeve has already disappeared before I even realized it.
Yeah. Oh, answering for a friend, because this is a huge problem for me. I enjoy reading when I eat, and watching, and reading books or watching videos and stuff, and like doing, maybe not so much vegging out. It might even be for an educational reason, but if you get lost in a story, I go to like handfuls of nuts, handfuls and handfuls of nuts, and things like that. So I understand.
Salty.
Yeah. I think the reason why I think acupressure helps with that is, again, because when we're in that mindset, we're up here or around here, out there, and we're not in our body. And so it helps us come back into our body. So the great thing too about acupressure, using your own hands, is you're kind of, and so I'm going to sort of stand sideways here. You're sort of creating like a circuit between your hand and, the energy channel that you're impacting here is, you can't dissect a body and find it, but it's under the skin, in the area of the heart. And so you're creating like a circuit of energy here, and you're returning back into your body. Because when we're doing that, we're elsewhere. We're thinking about the next thing we have to do. We're certainly not thinking about the cookies, because if we were, we would probably say, oh, I just ate this many cookies, you know what I mean? And it'll bring you back down. So that's what I like about it. Yeah. And we're just talking about one point. I have a point that might be, we're talking about food and talking about digestion. Yeah. And for this reason too, because this is lower down on the body, the one I'm going to show you, and or talk about. I'm going to see if I can move my camera to show you. But it's about the digestion. So find your belly button. Let's see if I can. My belly button's right there, and it's a couple of finger widths down. Again, do you have to be how many finger? Just a couple things. Like, just put your hand there, and I'll show you something else. If you hold your hands like this with all your fingers together,
yes,
you're bound to hit something, right? You're bound to hit the point down there somewhere. Nice. And the way we like to, in this case, you could use the flat of your hand, but let's talk about using the fingers. Let's talk about using all the fingers in this area down here below the belly button.
Okay.
You're hitting multiple points. You're stimulating multiple points when you're doing that, and go in the amount that's comfortable for you. So slowly, shouldn't hurt. Like, we don't want to poke ourselves, but to a point that sort of feels like, okay, yeah, I can feel my fingers there, and I can feel, you might feel some muscle under there. You might feel fat tissue under there. There's all kinds of stuff going on under there. Okay. And then breathe and hang out there. So this is where I am, just pressing in. And so I'll talk about this while we're doing this. This is this considered nickname Sea of Energy, CV6. So same central vessel, same line as your heart, but further down. And this is wonderful for your digestion. Right? Think
That would make
about,
sense because I
right?
actually was having a few tummy issues this morning, and immediately when I'm doing that, I'm like, oh, something's shifting a little bit. Like it's gentle.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see if I can do a double dose. I'm gonna calm
You
myself and do the digestive.
do it. And like I said, it's
Oh,
on the
lovely.
same meridian. So how great is that? And think about the circle or cycle of energy that you're creating there with your two hands. That's
Mm,
wonderful. And
mm,
and so with these meridians, it helps us both ways. So if you're gassy, constipated, or maybe tending toward diarrhea, this can help either way because something's out of balance here. Something's not right here. And how can we kind of see what's going on and adjust things and put things more in balance, just by laying our hands on. Now, if this is too pokey, hey, the flat of your hand works just fine. And how nice and warm does that feel, right? We all know, like a water bottle, how great that feels to put on our low bellies when we're not feeling great. So use your hands, and see how that feels. And again, if you're comfortable closing your eyes or softening your gaze and really dropping into these places, all the better, because you're giving your full attention there.
mm.
Yeah.
Next time I reach for those cookies, I probably will eat one or two, but then I'm going to sit back and I'm going to just even do these two. And I know we have one more to learn, but at this point, I'm like, this feels really good. This feels better than a cookie.
Yeah, I think so too. And
Oh my
you're using
gosh.
your hands too, and because I always have a hand free, so that's when I'm like all over the place and mindlessly doing stuff. But yeah, and I find too, especially if I'm standing, a lot of times you do these things seated or lying down. But when you're standing and talking about your cookie issue, and mine is the refrigerator door open. And just what am I going to make for dinner? And then by the time I'm like, I'm not even hungry anymore. But I love to feel the soles of my feet when I'm
Ah,
standing, and if you're holding points like this and feeling the soles of your feet, whoa, you're just rooting right down. Yeah.
nice and grounded. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
will share with you, back to my daughter when I was trying to get pregnant. We were trying everything. And what ultimately got me on my current health journey, especially with the gluten, is we found that I'm gluten intolerant. And so that was a beautiful realization and has been an ongoing and beautiful journey. But what I wanted to highlight there is we did this Mayan abdominal massage. And so that just felt amazing, even though it got deep in there and it could be painful at times. But with that, I remember the practitioner would always put these castor oil packs, right, where you just told me to put my hand and or the three meridians. And I just remember that immediately relaxed. Like, who knows what it did for my uterus at the time, but I know
Oh,
like I'm in heaven. So I'm guessing this is related to that as well,
yes.
meridians.
Yes. Castor oil packs are amazing. And yeah, this is a place where a lot of, so we're at the front of the body, a lot of the yin meridians, the meridians that are about nurturing and comforting and quiet are at the front of the body. And how healing is that to have a nice warm castor oil pack there? It's great for so many different things, and digestion included. So I'm so glad you got to discover and appreciate and explore that. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, and talking to you, it's a lot of this is coming back and so helpful because I no longer have a uterus, but I can still see how that would be very comforting to this area of my body. So
Yes.
with
Yes.
your acupressure and some castor oil packs, I think I'm about to be in heaven.
You mentioned a nap before, so I think I see a few things lining up
You
together
see a
for
pattern
you.
here.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you for tuning in to me. I appreciate that. And so now we only have a few minutes left. So what is our third tool before we close up today?
So I love the relaxing energy, but we also need sometimes stimulating energy, right? We need to finish a project, we need to make dinner, something like that. And this point, I'm probably going to show you too, but let me describe to you where it is. Where your kneecap is, and think about putting your hand flat just below your kneecap. Let me see if I can get
Okay.
me up here. So underneath your kneecap, and then go out to the side of the leg. Now these are our meridians run bilaterally, so you'll find this on either side. So just to the outside of the top of the shin bone, and you'll know that you're on the right spot if you bring your toes of your foot up toward your face, and you'll feel like a muscle pop out underneath your hand. Pretty cool,
I didn't
huh?
know there was a muscle there. Oh, that's really fun. I might be sitting here playing with this all day.
Oh, you know, that's a
Newfound muscle.
It's a great navigational tool for a lot of acupressure points, is where these certain things are, by finding dips and muscles and things like that. So again, we don't need to be exact. You can use all your fingers. You could use the flat of your hand. If it feels good to rub in that area. So we're talking about bringing energy up here. It might feel good. You mentioned tapping before, Michelle. Maybe even use the flat of the knuckles here. I really got to get something done. So this point, this is stomach 36, and it's known as the 3 mile point, because it was thought that if you stimulated this point, you'll be able to run 3 more miles.
I love that
Cool,
idea. Huh? Especially as I have taken up running this summer. So
oh, good. We'll give this a try. Yep. And both legs, you could do this on either side. And the great thing about this, and I can't show you this here, but you could take the heel of one foot and use it to stimulate, right, the point on the opposite leg. Like you could cross your legs, or you could do this in bed. Say, for example, say you're like, I really just do not want to get out of bed. You can try this, because this point, the stomach meridian in acupressure is about energy. So not just energy from our food, but vitality and tone of the whole body. So this point is helpful for muscle tone and muscle vigor and energy, as well as general energy, fighting fatigue on a general level. So yeah, you can give that one a try too. Like I said, tapping, little knocking, whatever seems to work there, or just holding the point. And you don't need to be specific.
What about timing? Should I hold it for a specific amount of time, or work with it for a specific amount of time?
So usually about like 3 minutes or so.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll know if you're so this one we're like tapping and moving and massaging a little bit, and we're not staying still, but on a point where you're staying still, you may even start to feel a pulse underneath your hands, and that's great, because that means now you're changing what's going on underneath your hand, right? And you're making a difference there. So that's a good clue for, okay, now I'm done. Yeah.
I am so loving the power that we have within our own body. Like, huge. Yes, go to practitioners. Yes, ask for help. But if we can do certain healing modalities on our own, oh my gosh, this is so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the combination of both. I think it's great, because then you can have it every day, right?
Yes. And I am just double checking to make sure we don't have any questions, because I feel like I have a million more questions I can ask, but I'm looking at my second screen to see if there's
tapping and moving and massaging a little bit. We're not
have any questions. I feel like I have a million more questions. Causing my own technical.
You are like a technical, you've got the whole thing over there. I can't even imagine what you got set up over there. Better you.
Yes, do you have some acupressure to release the technology? I've got the iPad, the iPhone, the MacBook, the second screen, the keyboard. You've
got it all, though. You have everything. You're doing it.
It does actually help me feel grounded, I will say.
Good. Perfect.
Yeah, with different ways to access my community, for sure. Yes, and so now, speaking of community, I know you are building something beautiful right now. What is happening in your world?
Oh, thank you. Yes, so I have a community myself, and I have a free online community actually called the Self-Care Satsang, and it's for people who take care of other people, and they want to be in a place to chat and get resources and share some laughs with people, you can come in and join us there. I have a whole little slew of free resources. That's one of them.
Oh, wait, and where would people go to find that information?
And we're going to drop the link for them too. It's jobregnard.com. I'm going to give you an extra special point /Saturday, because I'm going to tell you what's going on Saturday.
Love
and you
it.
can get to everything from this one place.
Okay.
So the other free resources, we talked about yin yoga. I have an ebook that shows you how to do yin yoga postures while you're moving through your day. So while you're folding your laundry and while you're on your phone, and you and I talked about like while you're stirring something at the stove, like you can do stuff while you're doing other things. Not so that you're overwhelming your multitasking system, but just so that you can get some self-care in without feeling like you have to do something else. That's always, I have something else on my list. So I have that as well. So all of that's at the top of that page. Further down on that page is a description of my hybrid retreat that's going on this Saturday. It's in Vermont. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's been a year since I've done this. Been a little tricky, right, with the pandemic and everything. But I always do a self-care Saturday in the summer at an inn that's nearby my home. So that's going to be happening here in Vermont. But you can also join virtually if you can't come to Vermont, which is a benefit, right? We all learned how to get onto Zoom and everything. So there's information all about that on that page. We're going to be making malas, mini malas, in this meditative process. We'll be doing some gentle yoga. Rest is huge for these events, because it becomes a time where people set it aside to come and rest and learn how to take care of themselves. We'll be talking about the nervous system, doing some acupressure, a little bit of everything. So yeah, it's going to be a wonderful time. So you can get all kinds of information about the retreat on Saturday in Vermont or virtual, as well as my free resources right at the top of the page. And we'll drop that link.
I love that. Okay, well, I will for sure drop your link once we hit the finish button here, just so that my community knows where to find you. And I know a lot of my community often watches these replays while they're doing exactly what you said, while they're doing the laundry, or while they're cooking the dinner, or while they're sitting outside or going for a walk. So we'll make sure everybody has access to you here. Thank you, Jo. I so appreciate your time with me. I feel like I received the most benefit out of all of this. But of course, I hope the community did as well.
Everybody does. I get benefit from sharing this information too. And I'm so grateful that you invited me on. This is such a great opportunity. And if people have questions, or there's more, I mean, there's lots of acupressure points. We can talk some more about this. There's lots of good stuff to learn about. So yeah, thanks so much.
I love that. And so community, as you're watching, if you loved this conversation, if you like my approach, if you love what Jo brought, consider joining Nourish, my membership as well. The doors are open through August 1st, where we talk about nutrition, fitness, and mindset. And we do have special guests, which I will ask Jo. I don't mind putting you on the spot. Would you be willing to come and talk to my inner circle down the road?
Definitely. I would be honored. Yay.
I was kind of thinking and hoping you would say that. So yeah. Yay, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, once again, thank you so much for being here. I am better for it. Our community is better for it. And I hope you have so much fun. I know you will give so much love and support, but I also hope you receive a lot of that love and support this weekend during your retreat as well.
Thank you. I always do. Being in a community, so important, whether we can do it in person or virtually. You get so much for that. And it's almost like the benefits are amplified, right? And just they blossom. They just go out into the universe. It's wonderful. I love it.
Well, thank you. Well, we will talk very, very soon. Keep shining.
You too, Michelle. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.